Super J and Mad Mike here, as always, here in the Wrestle Cave, bringing to you guys the best videos on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, tell us what you guys think. We had told you guys it's WrestleMania season, and we wanted to do some special videos, and Super J here is going to be going out of town here in the morning, going down to be there live and bringing you guys some cool videos live from Orlando. Mike's going to be helping me upload those, so look out for those all weekend long through NXT and also WrestleMania. But we're here. We have a list that we made. Not the list of Jericho. This is a list of Super J and Mad Mike. Our top 5 favorite WrestleManias. And every year, WrestleMania, season, it just overtakes you, man. You feel the intensity from the superstars. They know it's big.
Oh, yeah.
We as fans know it's big. And it's such a great time of the year. Ever since I was a kid. And it just seems to get bigger every year. The winter time is so terrible. You got all that snow here in Michigan.
The depression.
You get depressed, seasonal depressions, and no one likes to be inside 24/7. You know what I mean? And stuck with snow and everything else. So, bottom line is, once WrestleMania season comes around, I start thinking
happy.
spring. I start seeing, beautiful spring and then summer. But I see WrestleMania, and it's a special day for me. The biggest day of the year. It's like the Super Bowl, World Series, everything all mixed in one. Vince McMahon. God bless Vince McMahon.
Yes.
But we're here for this list, Mad Mike, and we want to give you guys our top 5 favorite WrestleManias. I'm going to go with top 5 of my favorite, and then I'll go with Mad Mike. But my top 5 was number 5 was WrestleMania 31. I thought it was a great WrestleMania. I thought the main event, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. I didn't think Roman Reigns was really ready at that point to have the main event of WrestleMania, but he really, got his ass kicked in that main event in WrestleMania 31. And him and Brock, man, they went at it in that match. And then, as you know, Seth Rollins became the first man ever to cash in the Money in the Bank. And it was a special ending to a cool WrestleMania that was mostly outside for almost 4 hours in the daytime, because it was in California, 3 hours, behind with Pacific West Coast time. But I thought that was a cool WrestleMania. You also had the only match for Sting in his WWE career at WrestleMania, and he fought Triple H. And, NWO and also DX were brought out in that match. And it brought a lot of cool Attitude Era memories, and memories from when I was a kid. So that is a special WrestleMania. That's my number 5. We'll go with your top 5, your number 5, Mad Mike. And you picked WrestleMania 14 as your number 5.
That one was just because that was the first Mania I saw.
Yeah.
So.
That's pretty awesome. I never got to see a WrestleMania live until, WrestleMania 17. I had to listen to them on Scramble, you know what I mean? And you could only see just a little bit of, you could just barely see that it was Shawn Michaels, or just barely see it was Bret Hart, you know what I mean? And it was just like listening to it on a radio, but it was just the only thing I could do, so I loved doing it. And WrestleMania 14 was awesome. It was the beginning of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had a lot of crazy characters at that time. Over the top, you had Goldust. Goldust and Luna competed against Vader, and I forgot who else it was. I'm lost there. I forgot. But you also had Undertaker, Kane. You had the Brothers of Destruction meeting for the first time ever at WrestleMania, and the build for that was almost a year long from when Kane was debuted in September of '97, and then 6 whole months. Undertaker said he wasn't going to fight Kane. You remember?
Yeah,
and he just wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to fight his brother. And then finally, Kane had taken him to the point, at the Royal Rumble, when Kane cost the Undertaker the WWE Championship in a casket match against Shawn Michaels. And I thought that was a great match, Undertaker and Kane. And then you had the main event with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then also Shawn Michaels, in the main event with Mike Tyson as a guest enforcer. And that was a really cool match. Shawn Michaels, it was his last match for 4.5 years. He actually had back surgery right after that match. And you wouldn't see him again at a WrestleMania until 5 years later at WrestleMania 19. But, definitely one of the best, WrestleManias out there. So that was your number 5. My number 4 was actually WrestleMania 14. Okay, I just thought it was a great, way to get a lot of guys over on WrestleMania. You had, the tag team dumpster match, you know what I mean? Tag team title dumpster match with the New Age Outlaws competing against Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie. I thought that was really cool. Then you also had The Rock and Ken Shamrock, and you had a tag team battle royal that started out WrestleMania 14 that had like 14 or 15 teams in it, and then the winner of that match ended up getting a shot at the titles, tag team titles. But there was Legion of Doom who came back, was Sunny, and they were LOD 2000, and that was just pretty cool to start out at WrestleMania. I always love the battle royals at WrestleMania. Anytime you can get everybody on the card. When you go to WrestleMania, you want to see everybody there. When you watch WrestleMania, you want to see everybody compete that night. It's the biggest night of the year, and my number 4 was WrestleMania 14. Your number 4 was WrestleMania 29, and I thought that was a great WrestleMania too. You had the rematch, once in a lifetime rematch with The Rock and John Cena for the WWE Championship. You also had CM Punk and Undertaker. I know that was one of your favorites.
That match, I thought everybody's like, yeah, it's an okay match, but I don't know, something about that.
And you had also the Shield debut in a 6-man tag team match, and they opened that WrestleMania against the Big Show, Sheamus, and then Randy Orton. And that was a pretty cool way to get those guys on Mania and put them over. Number 3 for me was WrestleMania 22. And I thought WrestleMania 22 was a great WrestleMania. I had watched that, live, and it was a 4-hour spectacular, man. They had, the title main event was John Cena and Triple H for the WWE Championship. And the whole crowd was into that match. If you're able to watch it on WWE Network, it's just, when you get the fans in, an arena or a stadium, when they're going crazy and they're on the edge of their seat in a main event, and, it just feels big, it just feels bigger when the crowd, is totally behind it. I love it. You know what I mean? It totally makes an event for me. It makes it bigger and better when the crowd are totally crazy into it, and a really good crowd. But WrestleMania 22 also had Rey Mysterio. He won the Triple Threat World Heavyweight Championship match against Randy Orton and then Kurt Angle. And Rey Mysterio was pretty cool. 6 months after Eddie Guerrero died, seeing Rey Mysterio, go ahead and win the Rumble and then win the title at Mania was pretty cool. And then Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon had one of the best street fights, that I had ever seen, man. Shawn Michaels whooped Vince McMahon's ass. And, he might have knocked teeth out of his mouth when he hit him with Sweet Chain Music, man. And Shawn Michaels went all the way up on top of a 15-foot ladder, and Vince McMahon was laying on a table and had the trash can over his head, and then that badass elbow drop from 15, 20 feet in the air. It was amazing. It was a great WrestleMania, and I really enjoyed it. Your number 3 was WrestleMania 23, and that's a WrestleMania that I attended, and you also attended as well.
And I think that's why it's there. I mean, every match that they had was, I thought, my opinion was a great match. Well,
WWE, the formula for Vince McMahon has always been the older guys are supposed to put the younger guys over. You know what I mean? And that's, it happens from generation to generation. So when you see an older wrestler is a favorite of yours, and you start to see him go downhill, and he starts to put other guys over, and his career is winding down, you don't get upset at the WWE for that. You just embrace it because they were young at one time, and older veterans had to put them over, you know what I mean, in matches. So it's just, it just comes full circle, you know what I mean, just like life. So, WrestleMania 23 had The Undertaker and Batista, and that's both of our favorite match for WrestleMania 23. They beat the shit out of each other for the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, Batista and The Undertaker, it was the first WrestleMania that was at a big stadium like that in approximately, 4 years. You know what I mean? So it was definitely awesome to see the big crowd stadium once again. 75,000. It was actually 80,000 in Detroit for WrestleMania 23. But Undertaker and Batista, they put on a show. Shawn Michaels and then John Cena closed the show with a 45-minute classic. The match would have been much better if Shawn Michaels would have won, in my opinion. But John Cena was the younger man, and Shawn Michaels was putting him over in the main event of WrestleMania. But you also had the Battle of the Billionaires, which was Bobby Lashley with Donald Trump.
Our president.
And then you had Umaga, the Samoan Bulldozer, and then you also had Vince McMahon in his corner, and the loser got the losing wrestler got their person that they were representing head shaved. So Bobby Lashley actually beat Umaga with a spear, and then Vince McMahon had to get shaved. Stone Cold was actually guest referee, which was pretty cool. Seeing him, come out and throw some stunners. He even stuttered Donald Trump. Maybe the worst stunner that you ever seen, but he still did it. The president got stunned by by Stone Cold, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's definitely special because we were there live. It was my first WrestleMania ever, also yours, and it was 10 years ago now. So it seems like ages ago, but it's really not. You know what I mean? But my number 2 was WrestleMania 17, and I thought WrestleMania 17 was, an awesome WrestleMania. A lot of people, have that as their number 1 on their list. You had Rock and Stone Cold in the main event going after the WWF Championship. Stone Cold won it. He turned heel that night. Vince McMahon helped him. So he signed a deal with the devil that night. Stone Cold at WrestleMania 17. But, they also had the triple threat TLC match at WrestleMania with Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys versus the Hardy Boys. And that was a great, TLC match. Edge and Christian actually won that match. I believe they won both TLC matches at both WrestleManias. But also you had just, a stacked card from top to bottom. You know what I mean? You had Kurt Angle ended up fighting Chris Benoit in just a wrestling, classic, you know what I mean? A wrestling clinic put on in the middle of the ring. It was definitely a great WrestleMania. My favorite match that night was Undertaker and Triple H fighting for the first time at a WrestleMania. And Undertaker came out on that motorcycle, man. He was American Badass style. And he drove that fucker down to the ring, and he kicked Triple H's ass, man. Triple H had Motorhead play him out. The late, great Motorhead. And that was fucking bad. I recommend watching that on the WWE Network. They kicked each other's ass all over the stadium. They went outside the ring, outside the barricades. They went halfway to the, across, the old Astrodome, in Houston. And Undertaker ended up winning that match, and the streak continued. But that was pretty fucking awesome. WrestleMania 17 was definitely great, and that was your number 2 as well.
Yeah.
So
it was just fucking badass.
Yeah. And that was the first time that WWE had been to a big time stadium like that in a decade, 10 years at that time. You know what I mean? Or 9 years. So it was definitely big for the company to sell out WrestleMania in front of 70,000 people with Rock and Stone Cold meeting in the main event. And what more can you say about that?
Yeah, exactly.
WrestleMania 17 was great. My number 1 was WrestleMania 24. And that's, I'm a little biased with WrestleMania 24 because I was there live. And I got to see that. That was the first outdoor WrestleMania in 15 years. And WWE went all out. They built a big-ass entrance. And, Undertaker and Edge ended up meeting each other in the main event. Undertaker won the World Heavyweight Championship in a classic match. And a lot of people there live were thinking that Edge might, be able to break the streak that night. And I was pretty surprised when, to see people like that and to be thinking that. Because I thought there's no way Undertaker's going to lose a streak. Undertaker's got this. And he did win the title that night. He won the title at 2 straight WrestleManias then. But you also had Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair in Ric Flair's retirement match.
That was a good match.
And Shawn Michaels was the man that was called upon to end the legendary career of Ric Flair. And Shawn Michaels did it with the utmost class and respect for Ric Flair. Shawn Michaels went out there with Ric Flair and put on a 4-star match, in my opinion. Ric Flair was, at the end of his career, and he still put on a show, man. HBK was Mr. WrestleMania. And I was kind of concerned if Ric Flair, before the match, if Ric Flair could, really compete with HBK on that big stage. Was he going to, he won't be able to keep up, but he did. You know what I mean? And you just had a classic match. Shawn Michaels ended up hitting him with the super kick. We actually did that action figure match.
Yeah,
so check that video out.
Please.
We also do
Check
action figure matches too. But your number 1 was WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
And what can you say? Another great WrestleMania. Obviously, WrestleMania 10, 20, and 30 were all, in my opinion, bigger because it was just another decade for WrestleMania,
Yes.
and getting bigger and better.
It was special because it was Daniel Bryan started the card, and he won, and it was just
Yeah, we were talking
fucking
about that maybe
badass,
a
yeah.
week ago.
Yeah.
Was that I was saying Triple H and Daniel Bryan was the best match ever to start a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? CM Punk was actually supposed to fight Triple H at WrestleMania that year, but CM Punk ended up leaving the company. And then you had Triple H fight Daniel Bryan in the opening match at WrestleMania 30. And the winner of that match ended up getting added to the Batista and Randy Orton WWE World Heavyweight Championship match main event. And Daniel Bryan and Triple H put on the match of the night, man. They just put on a clinic. Triple H, the older he gets, the better shape he gets. He gets better in the ring. And Daniel Bryan was at the peak of his popularity and at the peak of his run. And Daniel Bryan was just flying around that ring. But Triple H really punished him, man. He really put,
he whooped his ass.
He really whooped the smaller guy's ass. He really did. And Daniel Bryan, you could even see later in the main event, Daniel Bryan won that 5-star match with Daniel Bryan and Triple H. And Daniel Bryan was added to the Randy Orton Batista main event. And Daniel Bryan continued to get his ass kicked. WWE played on Daniel Bryan being a smaller guy, and the bigger muscle guys just beat the shit out of him. All the evolution basically. And Randy Orton and Batista, they did a power bomb, Batista bomb, into a reverse RKO through an announcer's table, and that was fucking amazing. Daniel Bryan ended up winning the title that night, and he ended up having Batista tap out to the yes lock.
Yes.
And then Daniel Bryan went crazy, and the fireworks, concluded the main event. Daniel Bryan had finally, topped the Authority. Everything they threw at him, he had finally, shoved it all back in their face. And that was a great WrestleMania. You also had the first ever Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And some people don't like the Battle Royal, but that's one of my favorite things, man.
Yeah.
I had gone to 3 WrestleManias, 23, 24, and 25, and I only saw one Battle Royal, and that was at WrestleMania 24. And I thought it was just awesome because you got to see everybody on the card.
Yes.
And, you weren't, that's one thing about wrestling. When WWE puts on a big show and you're able to go see all of your favorite superstars, one of your favorites is going to get out there and put on a good show or win. But when you go to a baseball game, your team might get shut out 10-0 or 5-0, or your team might get their ass kicked in football. And, that's just, a waste of money. You know what I mean? But when you go to a WWE event, you get to see all these different characters and different wrestlers, different, performers that have different styles. And, WWE puts on a hell of a show. WrestleMania has always been their biggest event of the year, for 33 years now. And just happy to... every year I'm happy to just, see another WrestleMania go. That's where I don't consider my birthday or my favorite day or Christmas. WrestleMania is my favorite day. You know what I mean? And that's where I start my new year. And, anything you want to share about WrestleMania?
It's just bad fucking ass, dude.
Yeah, I know. We're ready, man. Number 33. We're getting ready to go.
Yes.
Check out some more videos.
You are.
Check out, you're going to be there in spirit, Mike.
Oh.
We're going to go to next
Thanks,
year.
brother.
We're going to go to next
Thanks,
year.
brother.
But Mike's going to be helping me out, uploading videos all weekend long.
Yep.
I'm going to be live from Orlando. So check out the Wrestle Cave. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the best action figure fucking collection in the world. The best action figure matches. We got a stage. We do badass LED lights. We put on a real good show. So we're getting better at it. We appreciate your feedback. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, guys. WrestleMania for life. Peace.